We'll take a look today at what happens. But before that, can anyone kind of summarize what we talked about last week? You remember? You must be a fabulous teacher.
Job losing what he had.
He's going to lose. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks, Judy. Anyone else?
God and Satan were making a bet.
Yep.
That Job would remain faithful to
Yep.
God.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I think we talked a little bit about does God ever make mistakes? Yeah.
Yep.
I can't.
This is a.
I didn't hear what Karen said. Speak. I don't remember what I said. Yeah. God and Satan made a bet. We're making a bet to see if Job would remain faithful to God under all circumstances. And then I think we talked a little bit about does God make mistakes? That's what I said.
Mistakes of judgment. Yeah. This is not history, right? Let's just back up, right? This is not it. And
Job is not a real person.
Job is not a real person. This is what we would call narrative theology. In other words, it's a story that's dealing with a theological issue. You see? I mean, we've been at this for a long time now, with me at least. You have to be able to read the literature as it is. So in the Psalms, you have poetry. Here you've got theological narrative. And then there's gospel. That's another kind of writing. And every time you approach a certain kind of writing, you have to live within that approach. Does that make sense? You have to respect the writing, in other words. Many people, including ministers, don't. To their peril. And that's why you get these crazy interpretations of Scripture. That's one of the reasons is they're not reading the text properly or with respect. People talk about Bible-believing churches. I haven't encountered one yet that believed in the Bible or could read it properly. Not one. 40 years. Not one. Because they overlay their own prejudices and go find their prejudices in the Bible. Well, you can find them. You can find them very easily. But to really respect the text as it is offered, just like we respect people, how they're offered, you respect them as they are, not as you want them to be, then I think you can have a much fairer interpretation of the Scriptures, or of anything. Read the New York Times, read whatever. Respect what's being offered. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but just respect it. And so we're talking about a story that's made up, probably by a group, we think. Right? The story of Job is kind of made up by a group who kept asking the question, well, if God's so fair, why do we know our neighbors who are a mess and they're terrific people? Why is that? I mean, we all encounter that, right? Where it's just not fair. Just buried somebody a few minutes ago. Love of his life. They were married since high school. Married, 50 years or so, 45 years. And they're good friends. You know how these marriages can happen, where your best friend happens to be your wife, your husband. And he just retired and dropped dead on his exercise bicycle. On it. He was dead on it. Come on. Right? Well, these are existential matters that many of us, experience throughout our lives, where things should go this way, But they don't. They go that way. And also for people who I would say are evil. They live evil lives. And they keep getting blessed over and over and over and over. It goes the other way too, right? So the overarching theological question is God fair? You see what I mean? So let's write this story together. And we could do it. We could do it just like they did, right? We could all pitch in. So they need to frame the story. As Karen said, they need to frame the story in such a way that the question will be asked, is God fair? So there's a bet. I'll bet you my guy Job, he'll hang in there. Give him your best shot, Satan, and he'll be just fine. So God, in the story, God gives space, which we see from time to time in the Bible. There's space. God is not always so close. There's space. There's separation. Have at it. Okay? So that's where we are. That's where we are as of this moment. And now we're gonna see the dislocation of his family and the catastrophe that maybe if you haven't read it, I mean it's a global catastrophe, we would say. I was just wondering, do you know anybody that fits this category? Do you know any Jobs? Or what would be the female version of Job? The name? Joba? Do you know any Jobs? You ever met any? You've met some? Yeah? One. Anybody else? Know a Job?
I feel a lot of times I live the Joel life.
You've related to it.
Oh, tremendous.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think a lot of us have maybe seasons where we've gone through that, where we really relate to it. Anybody else ever known a Job? Have you gone through a Job experience yourself where you just lose everything? I've had little bits and bobs of that over the years. Yeah. We're gonna find out at the end of this story that the question, is God fair, will not be answered. That's not going to happen.
Then bad things wouldn't happen to good people all the time.
That's right. They're going to leave us with that. They're going to leave us with that. I'll just give you a hint how this thing's going to end. It's going to end with, can you, when you're witnessing somebody going through terrible things, can you be compassionate? That's how it ends. Okay? Spoiler alert. Okay? Well, let's see what...
I feel that's his life.
Sorry?
I feel that's his life.
Whose life?
Jesus, that's what he...
There you go. And Jesus is people, right? This is if you want to have a solution, which I don't know if this qualifies as a solution, but if you want to have a solution, be compassionate. Which is, not always. I mean, when 9/11 happened, I mean, some conservative preachers freaked out. They said it's because of homosexuality in New York City. They had it coming to them. No compassion whatsoever. None. Brutal. I mean, a brutal assessment and judgment on that event. I mean, it boggles the mind. But you'll hear that from time to time. This whole story is ongoing. It's a story of human existence. So it's going to be ongoing. We're going to see it over and over. You hear this about the Palestinians. Well, look what they did to innocent Jewish people just out of their homes, and they butchered people, and all that's true. Horrendous. So you're going to wipe out the entire country? Is that the appropriate response? That's what they're doing. Just rubble for miles and miles and miles and miles. Is that fair? It's a good question, right? So this is being kind of adjudicated, so to speak, over and over throughout history. Is God fair, and what is the proper response? Is it going to be that kind of a hard judgment and action, or is it going to be compassion somehow? It's still, this story is alive and well. Okay, you have to struggle with it yourself. All right, so what's Satan going to do if he's any good at this? How am I going to hurt this guy? This Job, what am I going to go after?
Everything.
Money? What else? Huh? Family? How family? He's going to kill him. He's going to kill his family. What else is he going to? His health. His health is going to go. He's got all these sores all over his body, so his health is going to go. What else is? Keep going. What else? Keep digging a little bit. What else does Satan do to him? One's a little more subtle.
Connection with God.
Connection with God. That's going to be really strained. Really, really strained. Where are you? Where are you? Anything else? It's subtle. Maybe not so subtle. He's going to send him some really special friends. Right? That will be like salt. They come like salt, and they're just going to rub it into him, rub it into him.
Are you talking about his friends that were talking with him?
Yeah, the ones that come. Friends, right? Friends.
Friends that he knows.
He knows these people, right? Yeah. Well, we're going to get that next week, I think. But this week, let's just go through the, what I would say would be sort of the blunt objects of destitution. How's that? Right off the top of my head like that. Pretty good. The blunt objects of destitution. Sounds good, right? Okay. So let's start at 2. I think it's just good to read it, right? Just to be exposed to this. 2, 1 through 6. Anybody game? Please.
One day, the heavenly beings came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them to present himself before the Lord. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it." The Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil. He still persists in his integrity, although you incited me against him to destroy him for no reason." Then Satan answered the Lord, "Skin for skin, all that people have they will give to save their lives. But stretch out your hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, he is in your power. Only spare his life."
Okay. It's a horrible story, isn't it? It's just the whole thing is horrible.
It's the same as the first story.
Yeah,
It happened twice.
it happened twice. Yeah, you're going to get repetition here. Yep. So we're going to set it up again. If you didn't believe it the first time, we'll give it to you again. Here's my guy, blameless, fantastic. Yeah, you can't touch him. Satan goes, "Oh yeah? Skin for skin. Of course he's going to do well. Of course he's going to do well because you're on his side. Of course he's going to do well. Well then, I won't be on his side. See what happens." Right? God has blessed Job. Of course he's going to be righteous. It's easy. This is all a little bit tongue-in-cheek, the whole thing, right? Okay, so let's see what happens. 7 through 10. Try that. See what happens to him.
So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and inflicted loathsome sores on Job from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. Job took a potsherd with which to scrape himself and sat among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, "Do you still persist in your integrity? Curse God and die." But he said to her, "You speak as any foolish woman would speak. Shall we receive the good of the hand of God and not receive the bad?" And all this Job did not sin with his lips.
Does that mean he sinned with his heart? You had a nice life. Curse God and die.
A realist. A realist. Don't you think she's a realist? Yeah, this is what's going on. Get rid of it. You know, curse God and die, or curse God and move on. Yeah. Have you ever heard anybody talk like that? I have. Many times over the years. Oh, the hell with it, right? They dump their faith, they dump their practice, they dump their jobs, they dump everything. And they just move on. Forget it. You know, life's not fair. God's not fair. None of it's fair. It's a joke. My mother went through that. I had a brother that was murdered, you know. And, yeah, she just absolutely gave up. Forget it. She was this kind of funny, sunshiny person. You know, greatly loved. And she just absolutely went dark. Yep.
Because they walked away. Meaning God didn't walk away. The person walked away.
Well,
That's how I warn people. I said, it's too tough for you to follow God. The other way might seem easy because of the lies you're hearing, but you're going to be in so much worse off than if you just stay
Sure.
where you are and keep
Okay.
looking to God.
okay. Yeah, in this story, though, it seems like God's already walked away. God's walked away, right? Feels that way.
Seems right.
Seems that way, right?
Yes.
Right. So, yeah. What could she have said to him?
Being compassionate, maybe, one thing.
See, here we go again. There's the word, right?
Yeah.
What would you say? What would you say to him? He just went through this. Now he's sick as a dog. What do you say to him? That would help.
I support you.
Yeah.
Can I do anything, and what can I do, you know?
Yeah. I'm in your corner and I'm not going anywhere. Right? Tomato soup and cheese sandwiches for dinner. Let's go. Something easy on your throat. Probably a little raw,
Yeah,
right?
the salt.
Yeah. So, okay. So you've lost your kids, your property, your livestock, your health.
Maybe that's the purpose of what the wife says, and Satan's rubbing salt in the wound.
Yeah, maybe. Well, in some ways, maybe he just lost his wife too,
Yeah.
right? You lost her too. Yep. More to come. You know, they're trying to make this as bad as you could possibly get it, right? I mean, can you think of more? I mean, you know, what more has a guy got to go through, or a woman got to go through here until you break them? Okay, so here come the friends. At 11. Yay. 11 through the end of the chapter. Anybody?
Now when Job's 3 friends heard of all these troubles that had come upon him, each of them set out from his home: Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. They met together to go and console and comfort him. When they saw him from a distance, they did not recognize him, and they raised their voices and wept aloud. They tore their robes and threw dust in the air upon their heads. They sat with him on the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his suffering was very great.
Okay, are they friends so far? Are they?
Oh, yeah.
So far, yeah. They couldn't even recognize him.
Sounds like they were compassionate.
Yeah, sounds like a good start, right? Good start. They're going to just sit with them for 7 days. They rent their clothes, like, that's a sign that someone is undone. Rip your clothes. They acknowledge that his suffering is very great. I'd like friends like that. How about you? Let's see how it goes after day 7.
Sat with him 7 days and didn't say a word, didn't say nothing,
Yeah.
never spoke. I guess that would be a good friend, if that's what Job needed.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
I had a colleague that was in ICU for 8 months in New York City. Went down and saw him, and he was all traked up, and he was going to have his liver changed out. They couldn't find, and then he got sick, and then there was COVID, and all that. He was like a cadaver when I saw him. So I just came up to him, I said, "Eric, you are the ugliest human being I've ever seen." He couldn't say anything back to me. He was grabbing my hand. He weighed, I don't know, 65 pounds, something like that. I mean, bad. He survived. He's working. Yeah, that was something. That was a wonderful pastoral visit on my part. Cheered him up.
Don't come visiting me.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people, Karen, a lot of people say that. I get that a lot. Oh, dear. Okay, so, all right, Job is going to start using words now. His wife has spoken to him. His friends have been there. He's been sitting with this for a while now. What's he going to say about it? So I'm going to read 3:1 through 10. See what he says.
After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. Job said, "Let the day perish in which I was born, and the night that said, a man-child is conceived. Let that day be darkness. May God above not see it, or light shine on it. Let gloom and deep darkness claim it. Let clouds settle upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. That night, let thick darkness seize it. Let it not rejoice among the days of the year. Let it not come to the number of the months. Yes, let that night be barren. Let no joyful cry be heard in it. Let those who curse it who curse the sea, those who are skilled to rouse up Leviathan. Let the stars of its dawn be dark. Let it hope for light, but have none. May it not see the eyelids of morning, because it did not shut the doors of my mother's womb and hide trouble from my eyes."
Go in peace.
Wish he'd never been born.
Right. Wish you'd never been born.
You have to get pretty old to think that.
Right. Now again, this is picture a group getting together to write this. What's going to be his response? They're talking about Job now as a group. This character that we're building. What's he going to say? What's he going to say? So he's already gone through these catastrophic moments that you can't get back. Maybe his health can be restored, but you can't get your your flocks back, you can get your kids back. They're gone. So how can we make his response horrendous? And this is what we get. Can you kind of see that? You know, it's important, especially with theological narrative, to read the text and then push back, get some perspective on it, so you can see the writers and what's going on with the writers. Do you see what I'm saying? Because that'll enrich the reading. Why would the writers write that? Since this is a fictitious character, you know, they're creating this person with a story. What's going on in their heads, the writers?
They're showing that he's at his lowest, most helpless,
Yeah,
hopeless.
right. How are we going to portray that in his speech? We're going to give him a speech. How can we portray that? Where does Job go with this speech? Well, he goes after his birth. Conception. Right.
It's it's poetic, what he says here.
Yeah.
A lot of metaphor and it's poetry.
It is poetry, and there's no question about it. Yeah. And maybe it's poetry so people can remember the words, right? Like lyrics to a song.
Yes, yeah.
You see what I mean? It's easy to remember. So you teach this to your Sunday school kids, right? And they'll remember this, the cadences. So is there what happens in the speech? He goes after his conception, right? So from the very beginning. I wish I was never born.
Poor mother.
Right? I mean, really? I mean, come on. I mean, nothing. What else does he go after?
Well, it discounts the good times too.
Sorry?
It discounts everything before
All-
that. It's all gone.
He burns it to the ground, all of it.
Can I have a different take on that?
Sure.
I think that I appreciated Ruth's comment there. I think that when somebody is going through so much and listening in this fashion, it's basically whatever, whatever happens, it doesn't really matter for my birth, and who cares? I stand with the Lord, it doesn't matter.
You're saying that. They're not. This isn't saying that.
No, yeah, I'm saying
Right.
that because the way it's written, it's like she said, a poem poetic.
Uh-huh.
It's like they're listing all these, you feel the sorrow,
Uh-huh.
person.
Yeah.
They feel the sorrow, they're going through hell, it feels like, you feel like it can't get much worse. It keeps getting worse. And it gets so bad that you get to a place and you say, whatever.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because I stand in with God.
Well, that's very interesting because that'll be coming. That's coming, but it's not there yet. It's coming in the story as well.
That's what I feel with, when she said it was poetically written,
Uh-huh.
it's like, it just can't get much worse, you know?
Well, can it? Can it get any worse? What else do you get? What else could you have at this stage?
Just back to the poetic thing. There's so much reference to the things of the creation.
Right.
We've got day and night and sky and sea and light and light and dark. It's, I would have to think a little bit more about what the significance of that
Right,
is,
yeah.
but I know it's significant.
Great observation.
That's excellent.
Is it an indictment
That's
of God for the whole thing?
That's what I have to.
Yeah, it's really a good point. That's really a good point. Yeah, he goes after creation.
I think it's got it all in there, the stars and the animals, the Leviathan.
Do you think maybe it's sort of a reversal of Genesis?
I was thinking.
Were you thinking that?
Yeah, but I think this, for me, needs more thought. I have to really
Yeah. You have to dig a little bit more. But every day of creation in Genesis ends with the word,
It was good.
it was good, right? So maybe they're playing with this. All this is bad.
Yes.
So it's an indictment against God's creation. And I'm proof of it. Is right?
The other
Is
side of the coin, like,
exactly. You think it's all good, right? And you can almost hear. I wonder what this group was like. These writers, because they're watching and they're hearing at this stage. They're hearing priests get up and Pharisees get up. Can you just see them? And they're saying, they're watching, right? In their present day. If you just trust the Lord, everything's going to be great. They're all watching this while they say this. And, okay. And the creation that God established can be counted on. It is good. And they ring the changes on Genesis, the first day, as we all know. The writers are watching this and listening to it in the temple, in the sanctuary somewhere. They're listening. They're Jewish. These are Jewish writers, right? And they're hearing this and they're going, And then they go out for a beer, the group. And what did you think about that sermon? Everything's rosy, everything's fantastic. Go God. And they've got a friend in ICU that's been there for 8 months. Right? How good. You can feel the kind of existential kind of boiling, right? So then they go, okay, we know what Job is going to say. He's going to go after that stuff. The very thing we heard on a Saturday morning at the temple, we're going to just crank it the other direction. Beautiful, right? Masterful is the better word. It's masterful. Okay? You want to read some more? Because he's not done. He's warming up. How about 11 through 19? Anybody want to read it?
Why did I not die at birth?
Thank you.
Come forth from the womb and expire. Why were there knees to receive me, and breasts for me to suck? Now I would be lying down in quiet.
Yeah.
I would be asleep. Then I would be at rest. With kings and counselors of the earth who rebuild rooms for themselves, or with princes who have gold, who fill their houses with silver. Or why was I not buried like a stillborn child, like an infant that never sees the light? There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary are at rest. There the prisoners are at ease together. They do not hear the voice of the taskmaster. The small and the great are there, and the slaves are free from their masters.
Okay. What is he talking about?
The dream.
I think he's saying it would be better to be dead.
It'd be better.
With other people, he'd be asleep. He wouldn't have experienced any of this.
Exactly, and all is well.
Yeah.
All is well. The kings and the princes are there. There's no slaves there on the other side. Everything's great on the other side. Yeah. Okay. Never have been born. I would never have to go through this trial and tribulation. But anybody have an issue with it? Huh?
But he also never would have had all that he did experience.
That's right.
He
Yeah.
he wasn't thankful for that, or did
Yeah.
really. He had had a pretty good life up until then.
Yeah. Great point. Yeah. Great point. Will there be no troubles on the other side?
According to him.
Well, according to you. Well, we're the writers, right? Let's pretend we're the writers. Okay, there'll be no trouble on the other side?
That's what it sounds like.
What's that?
That's what it sounds like.
For him, what about you? Will there be trouble on the other side for you?
Maybe.
Oh, for sure. we used to, at the hospital, of course, we had, patients, kids who were suicidal, and some of them exceedingly dedicated to it, let's put it that way. We never lost a kid at the hospital. We lost one when we discharged her home. Really great kid. Sometimes you discharge these kids back to their abusive homes, right? So, as much as you don't want to. But we would talk to these kids who are actively committing suicide. I mean, they're not thinking about it, they're doing it. Attempts, serious attempts. And we'd sit them down and say, and they would say, I just want to get out of this. I want to get out. It'd be so much better on the other side. And we'd say, really? Do you know that? Do you know that? How about this? Maybe on the other side, you still have to work it out. Then what? And that would just freeze them. Like, what? Yeah, you don't know. Maybe you have to, the very things that you need to work on right now are the very things you're going to have to work on the other side. There's no hiding from it. Then what? So you might as well do it now. Let's do it now. And that would turn it. Okay. And then they started. We had some fantastic kids that were like that. Fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful people. But they had to come to that. Where it's like, okay. And you're not going to be alone. We're going to go. We'll be with you. And we were. Okay. He's not done. They want to grind this into, the writers want to grind this into powder, this issue. You see this in the Bible once in a while, but this is a really good example. Like, we're going to grind it a little finer now, and we're going to keep at it until you can't stand it. Okay? So they want you to have that. They want the reader or the hearer to have this feeling of enough already. And they'll say, we're not done. We're going to give you a little bit more. We're not done. Okay? So the speech continues. I'll give it a shot. Why is light given to him that is in misery, and life to the bitter in soul, who long for death, but it comes not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures, who rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they find the grave? Why is light given to a man whose way is hid, whom God has hedged in? For my sighing comes as my bread, and my groanings are poured out like water. For the thing that I fear comes upon me, and what I dread befalls me. I'm not at ease, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, but trouble comes. That ends the chapter. So what is it? How does light? What is light used for in the passage?
Life.
Life. Okay. Light. How does it function in his speech?
Oh,
Hope. Light. How does he regard it? Is he happy about it? Is he happy about the light? No. Why not?
Shows the darkness.
It shows the darkness. That's right. He knows too much. He sees it. He sees it. He hears it. It'd be better if you didn't see it or weren't aware of it, but he sees it. It's alive, you know, the whole thing is alive. I wish I didn't have to see it or witness this in my life. Have you ever had moments in your life where you saw too much? You knew too much? Oh my God, that's half of my calling. See too much, know too much. Pass by people on the sidewalk and they don't know, but you know that her husband's having an affair. I'm not kidding. I mean, I've gone through that a number of times over the years. That I see too, you know, you're in a position where you see too much. You know too much. It'd be wonderful with retirement. That'll be one thing I could let go of a little bit.
God will probably still show you.
Huh?
I said God will probably still show you.
Thank you, Cindy. That's lovely.
You'd be more free.
More good news.
You'd be more free to see it.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was kind of a surprise when I first started to be a minister. It's like you know way too much. Way too much. So you have to figure out what to do with that, which of course is drinking. Well, you have to bear this stuff, you know, somehow. Yeah. Is it we're writers, right? We're with the group. Isn't it a good thing to know what's going on?
Not all the time.
Not all the time. So what times isn't it good to really know what's going on?
It makes you feel like him.
You'd rather not. Yeah. I mean,
When it makes
it was, when it makes you feel like him, it's not a good thing to be there's this, we talk about woke, right? You heard that, awake, be awake and all that. Being awake is a really very well established idea in the Bible, both the Old Testament and the New Testament. Wake up. You see it over and over and over and over. I don't know why it's such a negative word. I guess, I don't know. It was co-opted by liberals or something. But it's a very biblical idea that we are to be awake. In other words, see what's really going on as much as you can. But Job is saying, I don't want any part of that. I don't want to know. I know too much. And you can tell he ran a big ranch or a farm. You know, he's got kids. He's been exposed to what I would call the board. The board. He sees the board, and what he sees just is horrible. I wish I could turn it off. Anybody else have trouble turning it off? Turning this thing on? Are you a whirler? I am. The minute I wake up, the machine goes on. So the minute I go to sleep, I have to tell it to. All right, it's quitting time. You know. Otherwise, I'm just churning. Anybody else like that? It's not a great way to live. I don't think. I think there are better ways to live than that. But I can't help.
That's because you're extremely intelligent.
That's it. I'm a genius. Did you say genius? The word genius? Yes, I'm pretty sure you said genius. Yeah, right. Or as my mother would say, a freak of nature. That always made me feel good. Yeah, Tim, you're a freak of nature. First of all, the name's Tom. Secondly, I'm not. Growing up, my mom. And so, you know, he sees the board. He's a very capable person. Obviously, right? He's got a lot going on in his life prior to these catastrophes. There's lots going on. Very competent person. So he sees it, and then now it's a curse. Didn't want to see it anymore.
Just like watching the news.
Right? Do you have that? See, I don't have TV anymore. I got rid of my cable 4 years ago. partly because of that.
See, so you're not seeing it either.
Well, now I get it this way. But yeah, it's so painful and you can't get rid of it, and, right? And it sticks to you and it gets in there.
Well, nowadays you don't even know what's true.
Right,
You
right.
don't know what to believe.
You don't know what to believe. Sure, sure. Yeah, there's so many slants to the news, so many points of view, interpretations. You know, you see slaughter and people are saying it's good, it's justified. Right? Good idea. Sure. So here we are. Blessed are the ignorant. What's that phrase?
Ignorance is
Ignorance
bliss.
is
Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is
Yeah.
bliss.
And then there's always the opposite, knowledge is power.
Knowledge
They had that in my elementary school. Yeah, they did.
Knowledge is power.
Yep, that's what they had in my elementary school. Knowledge is power, ignorance is bliss.
And wake up and smell the coffee.
Frozen coffee. All right, so why don't we'll finish up and then we'll get to know these friends next week and see.
What's your statement with what we went over today? What is your cliche? What is your statement?
What do you mean?
Summarizing that right now. Knowledge is dangerous? What would you say? In reference to what you just went over today. These statements.
I would say destitution needs to be spoken.
Clears the air.
I think so. I mean, the gift, one of the gifts of this, beyond the big gift, which is, you know, if you're going through horrible times, doesn't mean you're a bad person. That's the big gift, in my view. This one is, it's okay to speak it. I mean, is it okay to tell God to go to hell? Go to hell. Oh, I've said that many, many times. And I imagine him saying, it's not going to go that direction. Yeah, exactly. That would be you. Can we, these are the writers, we're part of the writers, how far can you go? The wife has already said, curse God. That's basically what she's offering, right? Curse God. The guys are going to say this, the friends. They're going to say things like that. How far can you go as you sit in destitution? How far can you go? And according to these writers, go there. Go there. God's not going to kill you for that. It's an honest human response. Not everybody's going to go there, but it is a version of an honest human response to catastrophe. It's okay. Say it.
Doesn't God know it, even without you saying it?
Well, underneath the entire Bible, that's a great point, is God's not stupid. Right? I mean, that's an underlying understanding throughout the Bible, and hopefully our faith. A lot of people think God is really stupid. We trick God, and, he can get all offended. All bent out of shape. He gets triggered. Really? Well, then, if that's the case, get another God. Get one that's a little tougher than that. One that can handle human experience. I would hope. Come on. What are we talking about? Is he a big baby? I could be killed right now if I was speaking this.
I can't stop thinking of my niece who died of ALS. And, ALS is
Horrible.
horrible. And the longer it went on before she died, the more light I saw in her.
Isn't that amazing too? Sure. Yep. You see that too?
She was beautiful.
I know people are incredible, aren't they? They're incredible. Yep. Incredible. Yeah, I've seen that too. They get better somehow. Their self gets better.
Their soul.
Yeah, their soul. You know, if you want to see it that way, they get better with pain and suffering. I don't pretend to understand that. I know which direction I'm going. I'm already sort of there, all right? Here he comes. I know you hate me, but I'm back. I offer those prayers all the time. Yeah. Throw me a bone. That's a popular one too for me. Just throw me a bone.
Okay,
Anything.
we all need that
Anything,
more than
you know.
outside.
Give me $5. Anything. It is terribly important to have I think, an authentic relationship with God, so that you be you and God can be God, and you work it out over time. And things like any relationship, things go up and down and over and under, and you go through things that are fantastic. You have other times in your life that are horrendous, and it's a relationship. And just try to be yourself. And I think over time, maybe you become a better self because of the relationship. Maybe a bigger self or a deeper self, however you want to imagine that. It's okay. God can handle you, and God can handle me. No problem. You might see an eye roll once in a while. Okay, we're done. We'll see you next week. Thanks for your patience today. Nice way to end here. I like it. Look at you all tied in.